Hello, everyone. I'm John McDonald, and I am the GM of a new Power Ranger tabletop game. The Power Ranger tabletop game is made by Renegade Studios. It runs on the Essence 20 system. And though the group that I'm running it with is not doing it live and live stream like I have in the past with the Power Ranger podcast or the Power Rangers Centurion, I still want you to be able to keep up with it because Power Rangers Rise, as it's called, does take place in the Power Ranger universe. This is part of an ongoing series that has turned into a 5-year plus project, and I think it's a really good story. So I want to share the first two episodes with you as sort of a series premiere for this particular series of Power Rangers. And this is a new group, but they're connected to the other groups in a variety of ways that both they will learn about and you will learn about as time goes on. I will also be doing some updates for the High Ranger podcast for the lost back half of season two and the lost season three episodes. So hang on to your hats because there's a lot coming. But this is sort of a new story in this existing universe, in my Panagon Power Ranger universe. And we start with an episode called The Nobody Virus. Now, the Nobody Virus follows, at this point, four teens with attitude, just out of high school. They are newly famous content creators that have had to witness their fellow creatives be slowly taken off the internet by a mysterious virus on the computer called Nobody. It's a little bit like death, as those taken away don't really seem to come back at all. And the origin of the mysterious virus seems to be the town of Angel Grove, where 2 years ago, all of their social media actually seems to have disappeared as well. The name of these people? Ophelia, Benji, Mabe, and Finn. They each independently find a techie hacker that points them towards Angel Grove, though at least Ophelia finds that the source of the actual virus is somewhere just near Angel Grove and not in the gigantic, sprawling proper city. The town of Saint Honorest comes up in Ophelia's search, and at the airport, when they all land at the Angel Grove Regional Airport, the weirdness continues. When both the stewardess from their plane, the landing crew, and all the people at the desks at Angel Grove Airport continue talking about something called a certificate of entry that is required for entering Angel Grove. The certificate is something new created by the newest and youngest mayor of Angel Grove that it's ever seen. The name of the mayor is Farkas Bulkmeier. The quartet is impeded from entering Angel Grove by lack of the certificate, but they're not impeded from at least Ophelia getting a rental car for her many, many bags. She does not travel light, as she likes to put it. So Ophelia rents the only off-road SUV to at least get away from the airport, knowing she doesn't really even need to enter Angel Grove. And along the way, she offers a ride to Benji, Mabe, and Finn. They don't know each other completely, but they all have come seeking truth and resolution to the mystery of the Nobody virus themselves. As content creators, they are not necessarily experts in their field, but they might be. They might have heard about each other or seen each other. They've at least all heard of Ophelia as kind of a yoga health instructor. Some of them do restoration work, some of them do like food prep and food eating work. Uh, the Nobody virus has really struck someone close to home for them, and they're trying to get answers. And the Nobody virus could strike anyone, including themselves. Um, while trying to live stream, after Ophelia offers them all a ride, Mabe realizes even the Wi-Fi signal in Angel Grove, this close to the highway, is slow and monitored by the same certificate process to even get into town. It's really clear something isn't right here in Angel Grove. You know, Angel Grove has always been thought of as this very bustling, huge Californian type city, but for all intents and purposes, it's slow and dead. Not to mention the glimpses of the presence on the off ramps to make sure you only enter Angel Grove if you have the proper paperwork. Ophelia likes to say that the vibes are off a little bit as they get to St. Honorest. The quartet comes upon a town that is a living museum. It doesn't have anybody there, that is a Persian at least. This is a town that is a mix of both the Wild West, so it has a very Westworld vibe, and a kind of old educational, now defunct mine. It is just outside of Angel Grove. For listeners of the podcast, you may recognize Saint Honorest from a couple of episodes. It is that same town, actually. But this time it doesn't have any actors playing workers. It doesn't have robots playing cowboy sheriffs and deputies. It only really still has that Wild Bill soda that it has in the saloon for purchase. Free now, I suppose. Um, an interesting thing they find as they search for any answers in this town of St. Honorest, there is oddly fresh food that's being kept in cold storage, and there's some power flowing to the admin building from a cable that Finn notices that leads right to what looks like the mouth of the mine cave just outside of the small frontier-like museum town. All but Benji follow the cable and realize that closer to the mine entrance, there's actually something on the other side. They do not go in the mine, um, but what they find on the other side makes gives them certainly enough to do. What they find on the other side, kind of in the shadow of the mine, as I like to call it, is this remains, sort of a graveyard, a circus graveyard of this several lived in but seemingly abandoned wooden trailers, broken pieces of parts of circuses gone by, like barrels, a defunct billboard. There's a whole twisted steel graveyard on the far side of the trailers that looks like it would be impenetrable to walk without a lot of proper gear. But there's plenty to explore and more questions as time goes on. So Ophelia, Finn, and May begin exploring there while Benji has stayed behind, and we'll come back to Benji. The weirdness of the abandoned camp doesn't get any better as they start to notice that the trailers seem to be set up for people to live in them. They've got sleeping bags on the bed. Um, they have, running water coming out of the faucets. Um, but that kind of takes a back seat because in the midst of a broken and busted popcorn machine, they find this metallic box. No hinge, no seam, no way to open it, but there is something inside. When they shake it, it rattles like a present on Christmas morning. Trying to open it, Finn busts a hole in a wall in a trailer further away, trying to use sort of a chisel and awl maneuver. And Mabe tries to hit it with a rock to open it and sends the rock flinging towards some barrels filled with brackish water. This mystery box, when they touch it, does seem to have a vibe, but it doesn't quite feel right to any of them, nor does it really give them answers. And when Mabe tries breaking one of the barrels, seeing a second metallic box, her very touch cleans the water in the barrels as if by magic, and both blue lightning and music erupt. But the music just seems to be in her mind. But it is a lilting music, full of joy and laughter, perhaps the sound of mermaids even. Now, Finn has gone to check on the tools in the wooden trailer that he's busted a hole in on the other side of the popcorn machines, and he finds a different box. Now, it does spark lightning just like the one Mabe found seemingly moments ago in the barrels, but instead of blue lightning, This time, Finn finds there's green lightning and an indecipherable inscription they both realize that no one can see but them in a language they can't yet read. But the boxes, when lightning strikes, do somehow feel like home. And that's where we ended the first episode. That's where we ended the Nobody virus. But there's a second part to this episode. Because if you think I was just going to put two boxes in, you'd be wrong. And so the next episode is called Mr. Roboto. Now, Mr. Roboto picks up right where we left off, with very little time passing, just a little bit of a rewind. Because even though Benji decided to stay behind in the cold storage to do some snacking and some research, finding keys, looking for information, they find that even with 20% power left, there's a manifest of food still coming. Even though no one's been in this location for at least a year, there are orders that are already prepaid that are going to keep food coming every week, except for the fact there's only 20% power left coming from that mysterious cord that Finn and the rest of them followed. Things are really set up here for success. Benji starts to try to kind of reverse engineer and work out who exactly made these orders and why. See if there's anything weird about it to explain, what's going on and why they're here. But Benji doesn't really get very far because they feel a sharp pain on one side of them, and then they feel a duller pain on the back of their head. They decide not to stay after feeling a mysterious pain that they can't tell what direction it's coming from, but they do decide to grab a set of keys that will unlock all the doors in the Wild West town itself, and decide to follow the cable because Benji knew that's where everybody else was going. And, if things are going to strike invisibly, probably best not to be alone. Interestingly, though, Benji does stop at the mouth of the mine, where I describe it a little bit like, a day desert version of the tiger head from Aladdin, except it doesn't say anything. Mostly. Benji stops at the mouth of the mine and notes a particular feeling of unnatural spookiness to there. And inside the cave opening, but long before where it drops off into a downward darkness, Benji comes across an etching on the side of one of the walls. A poem is what it looks like, although kind of damaged and a little hard to read. It's a poem that references darkness and sentinels, but it's kind of cryptic and doesn't really make much sense. The mine itself is also kind of a conundrum. Benji hears a voice in his head, laughing, cold and cruel, and then when he gets to the edge of the mine where there's a little safety rope so he can't fall down, he drops a coin down to see how far down the mine goes. And his response is a bear that growls from the darkness. There's also the matter of what looks like different rows of prison cages in this mine that lead down into the darkness as well. It's really hard to see where their light source is coming from, but it's clear that it's some sort of prison bars effect, and that this mine is not all that it seems to be. Backtracking out of the mine, because it's unsettling enough as it is. The vibes again are off, as Ophelia would say. Benji is able to catch up with Mabe, who is running toward Finn, as we have caught up now to where Finn's box burst with green lightning, something that Benji had seen just kind of out of the corner of his eye, and didn't stay in the mine too long. Um, Benji gives Mabe a short recitation of what he experienced in the mine, and Mabe notices Benji's bruising that he has forming on the back of his head and on one side of his body. The bruising on the side the sharper bruising starts to look kind of like it was done by a tool, and the one on the back of the head like a stone. It's not hard to figure out, and they rolled really easily for this, that these marks sort of match the tools that were used to try to pry open one of the boxes unsuccessfully, and this mysteriously unlabeled box that doesn't have any writing on it, that has not reacted to Ophelia, does react to Benji, and pink lightning erupts from it. Again, there is writing on it that is in a language that cannot be deciphered by Benji. All they can kind of tell is it's cursive, which matches the kind of different style of cursive Mabe has, but not the chunkier, hardier style that Finn has in their green box. All very indecipherable, all very strange, and all very unsure of what it means that there are no answers, even wondering if they're hallucinating or if it's more sinister. There's a suggestion that at least they know that what they can do right now is fix the generator, save all of that delicious food that they can use for however long they're going to be here, trying to figure out where the nobody viruses came from. The generator is down here. They have followed the wire and the pattern, the thickness and thinness of wires, because the wires coming up from the admin office thins out here and ends up dovetailing into a series of currently not on light bulbs that light up the camp. Um, it makes the shape of a boot chicken McNugget, which everybody chuckled at when I mentioned it, but that is the shape it made. It did not make a true circle. um, the generator is behind trailer B, which is the trailer on the bottom, close to where they entered, and then all the way to the right. Now, behind trailer B is indeed this generator. The generator is running low on power, but it does have one of those military-style boxes on top of it. The box does give off yellow lightning in response to Ophelia moving it, but not anything that feels like a companion. Almost like it's reacting more to the presence of being moved than to being held by Ophelia. What it does allow for is that the generator is recharged. Now, it seems like that's a victory, right? But unfortunately, as they get the power back on, they've alerted something to their presence, and as they come around the trailer, they find Finn, who had become more obsessed with opening his green lightning box and very focused tunneled on it, is being stared down by a cowboy robot in black Western garb holding a pistol on them. And all the other influencers kind of peek around what's now an open door that was not open before and notice that Finn has this cowboy robot who I have named Smoke trained on him, and Finn dares not move. Mabe tries to sneak around the other way on the outside of the trailers to get around to Finn to help Finn, even with this bizarre, uncanny valley cowboy robot thing. It's very strange. But Benji sort of fumbles his box, trying to figure out what he wants to do. And he looks down and sees that now he can read the writing on the label that he could not read before. It's still very cursive-y, but now it's at least legible in English. There's a short message, and he reads it aloud. And in the end, it implores, Pink Spirit Rise. Whereupon reading the words, Benji's box opens on a magical unseen hinge, and there's a vibrating gold flip cell phone inside. It's one of those older style cell phones that you have to open up, not one of the new ones that looks fancy and like a book. The strange phone has a cutout where a screen would be, and a pink light shines in a certain direction. And when Benji turns to look where the light shines from, He sees a great rotating circular sigil object with several esoteric animal symbols behind him. It stops on the symbol of a butterfly when the butterfly is atop it, and this magic circle overtakes him, and he becomes the Pink Spirit Ranger. Ophelia witnesses this, only seeing Benji overtaken with the Ranger armor and not with this great esoteric circular sigil pattern. Benji's phone from within the box transforms into a small staffed axe with the jewel atop. It's going to aid in battle, and Benji heads off to confront Smoke, trying to wrestle the pistol from its hand. The pistol goes off in the struggle, and though it doesn't injure a still Finn, it does reveal a smoke bullet that comes out of the gun instead of regular bullets. And these are bullets that look like smoke and leave a little smoke trail, but can still do damage. And that smoke bullet causes an explosion. There's a fifth box found just beyond the trailer Finn had come out of, and over by where pieces of a lion tamer cage used to be. As Mabe is crouched and witnesses this smoke bullet and this pink ranger come out of nowhere, her own box in blue has writing that now she can see, and she gets to mutter Blue Spirit Rise and is transformed into a water-themed blue Spirit Ranger with the tail of a mermaid, or maybe it's a whale, as the symbol at the top of her blue esoteric wheel. When she transforms, she goes to join the battle as well, making a great many water-themed puns on the way, which earned at least one story point, as it should. Ophelia uses the opportunity of witnessing these two people become Power Rangers in this world in which, yes, there are Power Rangers, but except for a couple of cities beyond Angel Grove, most people aren't sure if they're superheroes. Some think they're marketing ploys, some think it's advertising for tourism. Um, some don't know what to make of it. Some might even think because Angel Grove has Area 52 that maybe it's part of a military strategy, and everyone has to make up their own mind about what the Power Rangers are here because not everyone universally adores them for whatever reason. And confronted with all of this and their own feelings on what a Power Ranger is and what it might be, Ophelia decides to embrace the weirdness, as she liked to say, and sneaks around as the two new Power Rangers begin to slightly injure Smoke. They realize in their battling of him that he wasn't actually built to stand for as long as he is. And when they injure him, they cause black smoke to rise up out of his body and dissipate, weakening the metal structure as there's nothing underneath it, just this smoky structure that then goes away. Mabe learns the nature of the smoke bullets are also less about physical pain and more about creating fear in bullet form. Ophelia finds the box with what has a red label on it now and is able to mutter the phrase Red Spirit Rise that produces a different result from the other boxes thus far. There are two seemingly warring spirits here. There's the delightful heat that comes upon Ophelia that has a tinge of nostalgia that she can feel psychically. I did describe it as the exact moment a marshmallow is just a touch too long in a fire, but is still definitely edible. But it seems to be like there's a battle happening between a lion spirit and a phoenix spirit, but the phoenix wins out in the end. Her own red esoteric circle bids her to come, citing her to find courage, and gives a warning about hands and eyes and hearts. Running forward at this entreatment, Ophelia runs through the circle and transforms into the Red Spirit Ranger. A burst of righteousness lets her clock the robot cowboy creature, but she overcorrects and stops 15 or 20 feet afterwards, just slightly past the battle, but not too far that she can't strike again. Smoke uses this distraction and pain to create a protective hologram of itself with something called a grid shift power, though Benji is able to see through the ruse fairly easily and point out which is the hologram and which is real, the real smoke now just behind Ophelia, the Red Ranger. Defeating the robot, the Rangers watch as black smoke dissipates from its head, and the metal body just finishes collapsing in on itself with a mighty kick from Benji. The episode starts to close, the danger now passing, but the new Power Rangers, the Spirit Rangers, are left wondering still, what are they here for? And how is this connected to the Nobody virus? There's more to explore and interesting finds in Trailer B, a series of MacBooks that Mabe discovers before they retire to overnight beds to think, in one case to toss and turn in dreaming, and in another case, a question. Are they also a Power Ranger if they have a box but did not transform? All things to sleep on, and more to come when we get to the next episode entitled All Smiles. Thank you for joining in this very special new team for Power Rangers Rise, part of the continuing universe that started with Becoming Mighty and Morphin and the Power Ranger podcast, and continued in the Power Ranger podcast with Sentinels of Senior Year, and then Power Rangers Season 3 Corrupted coming soon, and then the Sister City podcast, live stream, Power Rangers Centurion. I'm so excited to continue updating the story and to have players come along to help me tell it. I hope as you listen in, you'll enjoy the world as much as I've enjoyed crafting it. I can't wait to share the rest of the story with you. And I hope in the future, perhaps I can have a ranger or two on for a little interview, as you never know quite who in this universe is still around and who might stop by. I'm GM John, or you can call me Zordon, you can call me Alpha, just call me late for dinner. I'll see you again real soon. As we like to say around these parts, may the power protect you.